Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, everybody. So, I woke up this morning and I felt called to create a live stream this morning for all the moms out there, for all the grandmothers, the stepmoms, the moms of fur babies, the moms of plants, the dads, their moms. Just today is like really about like the divine feminine. It's about nurturing. And I wanted to do intuitively guided message for you guys for today. So what I did was I brought out three decks that I wanted to pull from. So I'm going to be pulling from the Goddess Guidance Oracle deck, the Moonology Oracle, and Heart and Soul. I absolutely love the Heart and Soul actually for the imagery. The graphics on the back of these cards is just so beautiful, and the messages I feel like they're very timely, and they're very deep and very powerful. So I know many of you are probably still laying in your beds if you're on the East Coast. Hopefully you're getting treated to breakfast in bed or something just as lovely today. Hopefully you're treating yourself because that's really important. And um, we spend a lot of time giving to others, and one of the things that I always say is, you know, you have to be willing to say no sometimes, because you cannot, if you think about like a car, if a car doesn't have any gas in it, right, it can't go anywhere, it can't take you anywhere. And that's the same um for giving. How can you give to anyone if your tank is empty? And it's really important that we give to ourselves. I feel like there's been a conditioning in many of us that says, you should always think of others first. You should always think of others first. You should be selfless, not selfish. But I don't feel like there is such thing as being selfish by putting yourself first, because you have to pour that love into you so that you can then be a channel to pour love into other people. And how do we do this? We do this in many ways. Sometimes it is something as nice as taking a bath, or taking that time out for ourselves. But there's a lot of different ways that we can nurture ourselves. We can nurture ourselves by doing some kind of physical activity, taking meditative walks in nature. Nature bathing on into itself is a great way to give back to yourself, because you're allowing yourself to receive from nature. um, we can go and do something that is like our favorite thing to do. Maybe it doesn't matter what it is, but it's something that recharges us. And so recharging is very important before you can go out and give. And so I hope that today you all are getting an opportunity to recharge. I know in some situations that's not an easy thing to do when you have other children, or small individuals that need that. But hopefully what you can do is you can ask for that support, because I think it's also really important that we do that. We ask, we reach out to others and ask for that help so that we can nurture ourselves, because it's very important. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get started on the reading. And first up is going to be the Goddess Guidance Oracle card. So I'm just going to tune in to the divine feminine. I'm going to tune in, and for those dads and granddads that are moms too, we embody both masculine and feminine energy. There always has to be a balance. That's the whole point of the yin and yang. The yang is the masculine, and the yin is the feminine. And so as I'm pulling these cards, number one, I always tell people, take what resonates and don't worry about the rest, because it may not be for you at that time. I'm doing a reading for anyone who will be tuning in. And even though this is being done on Mother's Day as my gift to all, it's not something that is only for this day. This message will apply to you whenever you tune into it. So keep that in mind. And what I want to do is I just want to pull from the energy. What do you all need to hear most today? What message to uplift you, to help you on your path, on whatever you're doing, however you're being, whatever way that you're choosing to experience this life journey. We just want to get a gauge on, you know, what would be a message that would be most beneficial to those that will be tuning in. And if you're, you know, for anybody that's tuning in, you know, please go ahead and, you know, say hi. Let's chat. All right, so let's just see. I've got one card that's coming, and or I've got one card that popped, and that looks like that's the message. So let's just see what it fell on the floor. Let's just see what this says. Um okay, so this is Ma'at. This is one of the Egyptian goddesses, and she's kind of like the bearer of justice card. You know, she's holding the scales. She's, you know, there's like a bird on one, there's a feather on the other. And what she's saying is she's talking about fairness. She says this situation will be handled in a fair and just manner. So what I'm getting is for anyone that has been in conflict, that there's some kind of a situation that's going on in your life right now where you are feeling like, you know, it's not fair to you, or you're feeling like you are hoping or praying or asking the universe for help with this matter. Basically what this card is saying is that whatever you're going through is going to play out for your best and highest good. There will be a fairness, but what you have to keep in mind with the idea of fair is, you know, everybody's truth is different. Okay, there's no such thing as one truth. Truth is changeable depending on the perspective of the individual. But what this is saying is the universe has heard you, and you can at least know and hold on to trust that whatever happens is happening for your highest good. So it might be one of those things where you get the outcome and it's not what you wanted. And see, this is the key. What we want and what's for our best and highest good are two different things, or two different dynamics, because there's a bigger world at play in our lives. There is, you know, the things that we desire to experience. There's the things that we have as our list of goals that we want to happen for us. And then there's this higher aspect of divine self that says, I want those same desires. However, you, the human self, are not in control of how they're going to play out and how they're going to manifest. And I know that this can be a very difficult concept to grasp. But if you think about your life, how many times have you had situations like that where you wanted something to play out in a specific way and it didn't? But then once you were able to just kind of reside yourself and let go, eventually the situation did play out. It just in a complete different way than you had expected. This is what is, you know, the important part of surrendering. It's, you know, a lot of the memes out there, a lot of the spiritual guidance you see, if you come across any, tells you you gotta focus on your goals. You gotta keep focused on your goals, and you can't stop focusing on your goals because you won't achieve it. And that is actually contrary evidence, because how many of you done that and then been super frustrated because your goals didn't play out? The reason why that is the case is because when we're moving through our lives, we have desires that are constantly going on. Every time you have an interaction with someone, every time you engage with someone or watch something happen in somebody else's life, or see something not happening in your own, you are creating new desires. And so that's a given. You don't have to spend an exhausting amount of time focusing on it. It is enough to acknowledge that desire within yourself, to say, I do have this desire. Write it down, set it aside, and then move forward with your life. And when you do that, trusting that things will work out in a way that is for your best and highest good, what you are going to find is there will be less pain, because pain is created by expectations. How many of you have had expectations about how something would play out and then it didn't? And then you felt so dejected and you felt like, why is this happening like this? This isn't what I wanted. I hate that this is happening like this. And then you miss the gift. Because a lot of times the expectation, which is our, you know, our mind or the ego, which isn't a bad thing, it's just an aspect of us, okay? And it should be accepted with compassion, says, I want something in a certain way. And so I'm going to expect that it happens in that certain way. And there's something called an expectation hangover, which basically in essence is when it doesn't happen the way you want it. And then now you're like so upset and you just feel all this pain, and it's like very upsetting, right? I mean, I know I'm not the only person that's gone through this before. The expectations can bring you down. Like it's ridiculous. And then you're like, so either you're angry or you're like crying or whatever, the way you express your emotions or suppress them, which is also not something that is very healthy, but it happens. So what I encourage you with this card, with this message from Ma'at today, from the Egyptian goddess, is release expectations to outcome, and instead just expect that you can trust that things will work out in a way that is for your best and highest good. Again, it may not be what you want, but you have to trust that it happened in the way it did for a reason. And sometimes we're not privy to those reasons off the front end. Sometimes it takes a while before those realizations will come. Just think back on your life. I'm sure that you have had situations happen where at the time that it occurred and it wasn't what you wanted, you were probably more emotional about it or more angry about it or feeling some kind of feeling where you couldn't see. But then later on, if you think back to that, could you be the person you are today had you not had that experience pan out the way it did, not the way you wanted? And so this is a very key thing to think about. Okay, so now I'm going to pull from the moon cards. What I love about the moonology cards is that they talk about the different phases of the moon, which, you know, I want to take a moment to talk about because a lot of people may not know this. And what I'm doing is I'm hitting the energy out of the cards. I always like to clear my cards before each use. And then let me just quickly, I'm just tuning into the Divine Feminine Collective and what is the message for the day. So, with the moon phases, so, you know, think about this. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't believe in astrology. And a lot of that stems from the fact that maybe the horoscopes never resonate. And the reason why that might be the case is because it only goes by what's called your sun sign. Your sun sign is the sign that is given to you, or that you chose at your time, at your date of birth, when you just put your date of birth in. However, there's more to astrology than just that. And I'll actually be doing a series on astrology to go in deeper to these things, these concepts, just in like digestible nuggets for you all, because it's one of my passions. And really what astrology is, it's about psychology. It really is more than you can possibly imagine. But what I will say is, with regards to the moon, if you think about women in labor, if you think about the hospitals and police incidences, and you think about a full moon, 9 times out of 10, if you ask any, you know, individual who works in emergency services, on the full moon, things tend to get a little hectic and crazy. Why is that? Well, it's because the moon affects the tides. It affects water, right? And so when you think about the oceans, the tides are affected by the moon. Well, our bodies are made up of more than 85% water. So we are just as affected emotionally by the moons, which is why in astrology, your moon sign is actually how you exhibit your emotions, how you handle things emotionally, how you respond when it comes to emotions. And so that's the thing about the moons. Okay, so looks like we've got a couple of cards coming for the moon. So let's just see what these are. All right. And like I said, take what resonates. Don't worry about the rest, because maybe that particular thing isn't for you. Maybe it's a message for you later. Maybe it's not a message for you at all. I'm tuning into a collective. So this message is for everyone who is going to tune in at some point. And this reading is timeless. Okay. What do I need to release? Okay, this is great. So this is the waning moon, and it's talking about letting go. So as all of you all are taking this time to relax today and to put that nurturing self-care back into yourself, this is a really important card. I don't know about you all, but the past several months have been intense. And the reason why, like just in your lives, just things happening, and it's like not the normal. Like, if you think back to before, you're like, well, why has it been like this? It's because of the energies. We've been getting pummeled by solar flares, which emit gamma rays, and they're actually doing something called it's changing the human DNA because the Earth's frequency is changing. And see, the Earth has a frequency, and we also emit a frequency because we're energy. We are photons and um, particles at the same time. There's a lot of scientific research that talks about this. There's been studies that have been done, and it's all about like where your consciousness is focused, whether or not you're going to see it as a particle or as a photon. So, and I think it's photon, but anyway, there's so much research out there that talks about it. But we are energy in essence. I know we feel physical. You can tap yourself. You're real, right? What is real? But in essence, you're energy. And because we're energy, it gets affected by the Earth's energy. Or if you go into a room of people who are angry, you're feeling that, right? What is the saying that they have about the elephant in the room? How is that even a possible thing? When something isn't being said, but yet you feel the tension of that, that's energy. You're feeling everybody's energy, and thoughts are energy. So, it's a whole world of things I'm actually going to be talking about in my series. So, what do you need to release? So, with all this pressure, I want you to think back to the past couple months. What situation do you find has popped back up in your head just out of the blue? And it might be more than one. And you find yourself replaying it, but then every time it comes in, you're like, man, I don't want to think about that. I don't want to deal with that. And so you blow it off, and you're like, I don't have time for that. Find those situations that are coming up because they are being brought up and brought into your awareness by your subconscious to your conscious mind for a reason. It is because there is something you need to release with it. So if you're holding resentment, if if it was a situation that you didn't like and yet you weren't able to find some closure with it, if you weren't able to forgive yourself for it, if you're holding on to guilt or shame about it, if you're, playing it out and it's affecting your life in any kind of way that you don't even realize, that's why it's coming up. So sit with those things. Take time for yourself to figure out what you're holding on to, because if it's coming back, it's because it's not really gone. And just because you push it aside and say, I don't have time for it, doesn't make it go away. It just gets stuffed down in your energetic body until the universe uses planetary alignments or solar flares to bring that stuff back up again so that you can, and then it'll say, are you ready to deal with this now? You can't run from these issues. You have to find a way to shift your perspective around them. So that's what this card is talking about. Oh, I like this card. I'm going to take it for myself. A new romantic cycle begins. So this is the new moon in Libra, and it's talking about change within your romantic dynamic. Okay, so for those who are involved, okay, you have a partner, you're married, whatever, or you have a boyfriend, girlfriend, non-gender, non-binary relationship, whatever it is. A new romantic cycle isn't just for single people. This card basically means a couple of things. It could mean that you have been going through so much transformation, or your partner has been going through so much transformation, or both of you have been going through so much transformation that what has happened is you are starting to see things from a different perspective. And as part of that experience of shifting your perspective around these things, a new energy is being birthed in the dynamic between the two of you. I like to call it synergy because whenever you're engaging with somebody else, it doesn't matter who it is, there's a synergy being created. In some cases, that synergy feels really, really good and it's enjoyable, and those are the people that you want to hang out with and want to spend time with. In other cases, that synergy maybe doesn't feel so good and you feel maybe triggered, and there's things that in that dynamic that just don't feel as amicable or as nice or pleasurable as other dynamics. So this is really good because this is also about balance. The scales, the Libran scales. Librans seek to bring balance to things. So, one aspect to having a new romantic cycle, and this is another series I cannot wait to dig into, is talking about what a real healthy relationship should look like. And I don't just mean romantic, but I mean any kind of relationship. And it actually goes back to expectations. There's been a lot of conditioning. There's been a lot of hypnosis, which people don't understand. So I'll probably, do a video on that as well. That you've been receiving since you were a child, watching the people around you. So you had the dynamic of what people showed you. Relationships look like didn't mean they were healthy. It's just what you became used to, right? And so, people bring a lot of baggage with them, emotional baggage, emotional traumas. You never know what a person has gone through. And that stuff comes up. And one of the great things about relationships is it's an opportunity to grow and evolve together. Because if you look at the way that one person triggers the other, if you don't like something about a person, if you don't like something the way a person does, you got to sit with that and say, why? Why don't I like it? What is the root thought or feeling or expectation around the idea that is creating me to not like the way this person shows up? When we can come to full acceptance and just allow a person to be who they are and let them show who they are to us and then make a decision, can I deal with this? Is this something that I'm going to be okay with? Can I find the gratitude in our connection? These are really important questions. So I will be digging in a lot with that topic, but I'll take the new romantic cycle, especially because, well, yeah. So, oh, and this is a great one too. So, you're very close to achieving your goal. So the gibbous moon. So it's very funny because I was just talking to my mom yesterday, who was in the hospital for high blood pressure. She's doing better now and should be home. She said, I've never heard of something called the gibbous. So the gibbous is one of the phases of the moon. It's when the moon is, I believe it's when the moon is almost full. It's in gibbous. It's either in gibbous when it's almost full or, yeah, and then I think it's waning once the full moon happens and then it's starting to phase out, right? So this message is you're very close to achieving your goal. So whatever it is that you've been working towards, this card says don't give up. It says that sometimes it may look like the things we want aren't happening, but they are on their way to showing themselves. And what we have to do is we have to keep holding that trust. Again, releasing the expectation, but holding that trust that things are going to work out for our best and highest good. So whatever you're going through, this card says don't give up. Hold your hope that things are going to work out. And just like I said, instead of your perspective being, ooh, that means X, Y, and Z, and focusing on the details, focus on the higher aspect of it. What do you want to feel as a result of that scenario? Because that you should be guaranteed to experience. It's just, again, it may not happen in that manner. And I say should because I can't, we all have soul contracts and we came here for different experiences. And these are even more topics that I plan to really dig in this, my YouTube channel, to talk about these things, because I think that we're missing information. We're missing a lot of information that can really help us in our lives if we're open to receiving it. And that's what's really important. So don't give up. And then the last one is, and see, here's another great one. I will take it. I'll take all of them. A new start is coming. So this is the new moon. And actually this is fun and exciting that this card popped because the new moon of Taurus is actually coming on Tuesday. And what that means is, new moons are that opportunity to kind of have that. It's like a new beginning, it's an opportunity to move through your life from a new beginning, from a new perspective, doing things a little differently with your thoughts, deciding to be a little different. That's what is so great about new beginnings. And the new moon of Taurus, actually, the last time there was a new moon of Taurus, not last year, but in 2019, I was actually in Sedona and I did a fire ritual with someone who had like a circle, and we all got to write down what our intentions were and what we wanted to let go of as we moved into this new cycle. and we put it into the fire on the new moon. And so I encourage fire. I call it fire magic because I have found that when I'm willing to completely release a particular thought and I write it on paper and then I burn it in a safe space, please. um, I it actually is gone. It's not in my thoughts anymore, and it took a long time to get there. And I know that there were other things I had to do to make it so that I could be in that place. But very powerful, love it. And so yeah, take this time. You know, a new start's coming. Get excited. This is the opportunity for you to make some changes. Taurus is all about love. You know, it's the planetary ruler is Venus. And so Venus is about aesthetics, it's about love, compassion, arts, you know, things that are beautiful, you know, and where can you sit down and think about the beautiful things in your life and have gratitude for those things? People underestimate the power of gratitude. If I'm having a hard day or things are just really working in my mind and my mind is just doing a number on me because my mind moves 1,000 miles a minute, I will take that time to think about the things I'm grateful for. And I just start listing and listing and listing them in my head until I stop feeling bad. And it really helps. It really helps because it brings me back to what I call my zero set point. And then I'm in that space where I'm feeling really good and I'm back in peace, right? Because you know, peace is something that nobody can give us. It's within us. And we have to be willing to do what it takes to get there so that we can think straight, so that we can be creative, so that we can create all of the things in our lives we want to create. So it's very important. Okay. So now I'm going to pull from the heart and soul cards, and I'm going to show you the images on the back because they're just so beautiful. But okay, tuning into the divine. Oh, we've already got cards popping. Tune into this. So what's everybody got planned for today? I hope you have something that will be enjoyable. It doesn't have to be anything. Doesn't have to be everything. Could be a lot. Could be a little bit. I don't plan. I just kind of move with the energy. I didn't plan to do this. This was an idea that came to me and I wanted to share. I'm just, you know, I'm so excited to be pouring back into you guys in a way that just feels so fulfilling to me. It gets me all warm and fuzzy, and it's exciting. It makes it hard to sleep at night because all I can think about is, what am I going to post next? What am I going to talk about? What am I going to share? Oh my God, we've got so many cards coming out. Wow. Okay, so there should be a message in there for everybody. I'm going to stop there before we end up with like an hour-long live thing. Okay. So I'm just going to read these. I'm not going to go into detail unless there's something that I feel speaks to me that I need to share. Okay. All right. So here's the first card, and just so you can see the imagery. Okay, so it says, sometimes the true purpose of things is hidden from view. Did I not just say that? I was just telling you that, right? So here's validation for you. You know, spirit is speaking. Something doesn't quite make sense at the moment, but it will soon. It's all about to change. A blessing is on its way, and many more will follow. Soon you will feel as though it's raining rose petals from heaven. Oh, that is beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. I love that. Just allow yourself to receive these messages. Let them sit with you with love and with, you know, compassion and kindness, and wrap you in a warm blanket of just that unconditional love from divine source, God, whatever you choose to call it. Your intuition, oh, and you can see this one. This is really pretty. Your intuition constantly senses the voice of spirit and conveys this through emotion and feeling. I need to say that again. Your intuition, okay? We all have intuition. We all have psychic abilities, believe it or not. It's called intuition. How it manifests is different for all of us. And yes, it's something that you can develop. I think I'm going to be doing a series on that eventually when the energy calls for it. But your intuition constantly senses the voice of spirit. and conveys this through emotion and feeling. You know, I do have something to say about that. Um, so this was something that recently has been coming into my purview, and it's not like it isn't something I knew. It's just, have you ever had the experience where you knew something, but then then it comes back, and then you know it now at like this deeper level, like it resonates on a stronger frequency, I want to say. Um, I get sometimes I will do something or I'll sign up for something and then I will get anxiety about it. And have you ever experienced that? And you're thinking, oh, maybe I'm just afraid to face it. Maybe that's what's happening, but then maybe it's also that your intuition is saying this isn't in alignment with you. So, what I have to say about that is, if you find yourself feeling that anxiety, instead of pushing through and doing the thing, go back, take a moment, and sit with what you're experiencing and ask yourself, am I afraid? What would I be afraid of about this? Does it make any sense? Is it rational? And then whatever your answer is, what you might find is actually your intuition that's saying this isn't good for you. It's not in alignment. And then you let it go. Forget your commitment. It doesn't matter. Just let it go, because you have to put yourself first. It's really important. That's part of loving yourself. All right. Spirit's great love and wisdom continuously flows through you like a stream of soft diamond light. Stop for a moment and feel this beautiful flow of energy. Allow it to permeate every part of you. And you and spirit are one, entwined by invisible threads of love. That's beautiful. Okay. I cannot believe the whole stack of cards popped out. This is like crazy. All right. All right, so this one's beautiful. Look at that. I love the artistry on these. All right. Every relationship goes through changes, but this does not mean that the love has gone. Let this be a time of reflection. Some adjustments may be needed. Perhaps a new purpose needs to be discovered. It may feel cold and lonely, but beneath the surface, the earth is warming to the promise of spring. In the meanwhile, express how you feel gently, lovingly, and honestly. Let yourselves be vulnerable and hold each other tight. That's so beautiful. So beautiful. Loving without expectation. It's what we all should be doing. All right, so this one is beautiful. It's like a sailboat and there's like a reflection. It says, are you feeling a little lost and confused? Wondering which direction, if any, to take, and questioning what it is that you really want from life? Perhaps it's time to consult your inner child. You know, the one you've kept locked away for ages. The one who holds the essence of the real you. Isn't it time to listen to your heart? So speaking of the inner child, this is something that I've worked with many clients on. We think that just because we grow up and become adults, we're not children anymore. And that is true in physical form. It is true by way of the fact that we have more experience. But the child in us will always be. It is a part of our psyche. And the child in us is the one that wants to feel safe and secure. It's the one that wants to feel loved. It's the one that wants to have fun and do crazy things, things that don't make sense, things that are wild and, just free. The child wants to be free. The child wants that freedom. And we all have this in us. And a lot of times we get so caught up in the adulting that we do, we forget to honor the child in us. For me, one of the ways I honor my inner child is bike rides. When I ride a bike, I have the biggest smile on my face and I just feel like that kid again, because that was one of the things I loved doing when I was a kid. What did you love doing when you were a kid? And when's the last time you did it? Because maybe it's time to re-experience that. Okay. I got to get through these cards and we're at 34 minutes. So, okay, this is beautiful. I told you I'd show you these cards. You are protected by a higher power that also wants to help you. If the path seems blocked, there's a good cause. Take this as divine intervention, a sign from above, and wait. When the time is right, all flows with ease. So I was just saying this to a client the other day. If you think about the things in your life, things that want to happen, they're gonna happen. Like they are going to happen. You could do absolutely nothing. And just think about it. How many things have happened in your life that you did absolutely nothing and it had happened? I'm not saying it was something that you immediately had a conscious desire for, but it happened. So when things aren't happening and you just feel like you're struggling, you're pushing against and pushing against, stop. Stop pushing against. And instead, redirect that energy somewhere else. And just trust, again, that things are going to work out for your best and highest good with that particular thing. Because if something is meant to happen, it will happen. Trust and believe. Okay. Tune out of your thoughts and into your heart. Everything you are looking for really is inside you. Look within. Keep an open heart and mind, then follow your intuition. Beyond thought, there is a knowing that embraces all knowledge. Your inner vision has a magnetic quality that draws everything you need closer to you. That's pretty. So I do this with my clients at times. It's called, we say, drop into your heart space. And what that means is you get out of your head, you close your eyes, and however you want to imagine what it would be like to sit in your heart, you do. For me, I imagine this big, beautiful lotus flower that just flaps open. Like I can physically feel the petals flapping against some kind of physical surface underneath when it opens. It's a beautiful, wonderful thing. But take time to visualize that and sit in that place. Call in your inner child. Call in your higher self. Another video I'll go into. But higher self is like your God self, the self that is connected to divine source, that has the information that you yourself don't. Okay. An enchanted world is available to you if you want it. Just as the oak tree is hidden in its seed, the God goddess is within you. See? Reason devoid of feeling is merely harsh judgment. So listen to your heart and move beyond the boundaries that you have placed around yourself. It's time to step into your power and create a world of bliss. If you've been in your head, negative self-talk, if you've been in your head listening to fear and worries, if you've been in your head stuck on a hamster wheel, what this card is saying is that those are the limitations that you've placed around yourself. I think one of the videos that I will be doing soon, depending on the energy, is going to be on trusting yourself. I feel like we have become a world where we have forgotten how to fully trust ourselves. If you trusted yourself 100%, you would have no worry. You would have no worry. Because worry is living in the future. Fear is living in the past. And also anxiety can also be living in the past or worrying in the future. And thinking that if something happened before will happen again is also living in the past. You're literally bringing the past with you. All right. That's quantum physics. I'll get into it another time. If you want to experience a deeper level of love in your relationship, you must both consciously and willingly surrender to one another. Feel and honor the sacred within each other. Be vulnerable and give yourself up to love each and every moment. In doing so, you will unite in love. You will feel alive, reborn with each breath. One loving thought can create a world of infinite love. I love that. Let me say it again. One loving thought can create a world of infinite love. It may not be on a grand scale unless we have the momentum of a lot of humanity doing it, which a lot of us are. But a world can be defined by your environment, your experience of life. Okay, this is Egyptian. So here we have another Egyptian one. Tune in to the subtle and divine force within. Tune into the subtle and divine force within me, and you shall sense the subtle and divine force within yourself and all things, all living things. Over the coming days, there is a heightened sense of spiritual connection with Isis, the goddess of motherhood, magic, and fertility. Do not think that there was a coincidence that this card came out, because Isis is I call her mother sister, and she's the goddess of motherhood. So she is birthing magic into your lives. So be open to receive that, because that's beautiful. Okay, and we are coming. I mean, I'm trying to make it through this deck, but there were a lot of messages, and I guess they're just depending on where you are. There's different messages for, for some of you. This card signifies expansion and the accomplishment and success that come as a result of doing what you love. Oh, see, this is for me too. Or something that has great meaning for you. You are creating something of lasting value that will be enjoyed by others for years to come. A strong sense of teamwork and fulfillment is abound. And that teamwork could just be my divine counsel, my divine guides that are with me. But for you, it might be actual, like, other people that you're working with, which is also great, or your family or your friends. Like, it doesn't have to be like a work thing. It can be whatever you're like co-creating with somebody else. Okay. So I'm just putting this up so you can just kind of see how pretty the card is. Okay, you are currently too close to see things clearly. Detach a little and you will start to see things from a higher perspective. By emotionally detaching from this situation, a simple solution also becomes clear. This is kind of in alignment with what I was saying about if you've been pushing and pushing for something and nothing is happening, walk away from it. When you do, and you detach from the expectations and the desire for the outcomes and stuff like that, you'll be able to gain new perspectives. Um, they'll come to you. You won't have to think about it. So you just leave it alone. It's kind of like I tell people when they have a thought and then they're like chasing that thought because they lose it, and then they're like, oh, I just had it, and they just sit there and they're trying to get it. I'm like, just let it go. If it's meant for us in this conversation, it'll come back. And so they let it go, and we keep on talking, and all of a sudden, boom, it comes back, and they're like, oh, I know what I was going to say. That's what that means. It's just letting go and trusting that if you're supposed to know something, it's going to come to you. A beautiful, inspired idea. I love this. That floats through pathways of light, waiting for the right moment to enter your mind and heart. This wonderful idea that stems from your soul will grow and blossom if you nurture it. Keep it safe within your inner world until it is ready to manifest in your outer world. A period of great fulfillment and accomplishment follows. That's a beautiful one. All right. I feel like that's enough. I feel like this is where we stop. Anyway, listen, I hope you guys enjoyed and found some inspiration in the messages today. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I can't wait to talk to you all again. Remember to tune in for shorter daily guided intuitive messages that will start tomorrow morning. So thank you guys for tuning in. Happy Mother's Day to all. Take care.